asked for it. Here it is. It's a podcast from Apathetic Enthusiasm.
Coming to you live from 90 Shilling, which is a beer that I used to drink in Colorado, but then I went to New Mexico recently and I saw it there, and then I bought some, and now I'm drinking it. That's right, I'm drinking it here on Interdimensional RSS, the unofficial Rick and Morty podcast.
Are you coming to us live from a beer?
Yes, I'm coming to you live from inside a beer can. That's right, 90 Shilling Amber Ale, brought to you by, where is this? Proudly from Colorado. Yeah, it's a Colorado beer, Odell Brewing Company, Fort Collins, Colorado, which is over by, the Fat Tire, New Belgium.
Not a sponsor. Hi, everybody. I'm Travis.
Hey, everybody. I'm Brandon, and welcome to International RSS, the unofficial Rick and Morty podcast. We've got a good show for you today. We don't usually have a good show for you, but
you don't know that. you don't know if we do or not.
That's true. Based on some of the comments, so long as we don't have Funko Pops in the back, maybe it would be a better episode.
Did we get comments about Funko Pops?
Yeah, on the YouTube channel. But we'll talk about that in
I can't wait. I can't wait. Okay. Well, if you want to comment about anything, any material possessions in the background of this episode, hit us up on X at Rick and Morty Pod. Find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Rick and Morty Podcast, or head over to Instagram, Rick and Morty Podcast. You can send us an email, rickandmortypodcast@gmail.com, and we are on Blue Sky,
right.
rickandmortypod.bsky.social.
Woo! You got that, Travis. Good job. Good job.
I got it. We're on the subreddit. The conversation is happening on the official Rick and Morty subreddit, rickandmorty.reddit.com. Our subreddit basically posts episode links to our episodes and little else, rickandmortypodcast.reddit.com. And then at our website, rickandmortypod.com. You can find video versions of this podcast, youtube.com/apathetic enthusiasm, as well as video versions of almost all of our other podcasts. And then our Patreon, patreon.com/apathetic enthusiasm. Support the show, support all of our podcast endeavors. Big thanks to all of the patrons over at patreon.com/apathetic enthusiasm. That's it. That's all of the housekeeping, as we call it. Brandon, how you doing? I feel like I remember a quote of you saying, "I've never been more ready to do a podcast."
Yeah, I don't know where you're getting that from. I don't know if that was ever a thing that I've ever said in my life, but if it was, then you're right. No, yeah. I'm feeling pretty good. We're doing a lot of good stuff here today. We started the recording, which is always good.
Oh no, I did start the recording. Okay,
I'm just double checking on my end to make sure I'm not lying about that. And then got the show notes going. I spent a lot of time fixing our automations, and it's every time a new season comes out, I work on, oh shoot, how do I post social media? How do I make it to where my life is easier? And every time a new season comes out, I have to relearn all of the things that I've done to make that easier. Because sometimes then there's like templates, there's document templates that I was like, oh no, I have to update this because people have been asking a certain question. It's a whole lot of things. And I'm like, then I go into our Zapier, which is our automation tool, and I'm like, why do I have 4 different versions of the same automation? And then I like test them out, and all of a sudden there's 5 different documents. I'm like, why are there 5 different documents? There was only 4 automations. It's a whole thing. But anyways, yeah, I'm excited. I'm very, very eager.
Yeah, I think that experimentation of yours led to me being very confused when I went to go make the notes for this episode, and there were like 3 different documents all for the same episode, and I was like, I'm just picking one of them and rolling with it. I don't know which one.
And I'm very glad you did, because what for that one I was like, okay, we have a single form. Here's how we do this. Behind baseball.
This is what the listeners really tune in for. So.
Umpire baseball behind the show. there's a form. We fill out the form, and it auto-populates a bunch of fields within a Google Doc, which then creates a new document with all the show information. And so what I wanted to do was I was putting all that information in for Reddit posts. You were putting it all in for a new episode post, for a new discussion post for the podcast. I was like, let me just combine those. But the problem is the link that I have in the template that you click also has a different link, which then creates a different document. So anyways, there's still repeat efforts. I will fix it this weekend.
Good. I'm excited. I'm excited. And with that, let's get into our first segment of the show. It's a segment we like to call Semi-Pertinent News.
A bing bang boom ba boom boom ba dum bum bum bung da boom boom ba dum dum bung da dum news.
I love that sound bite every time you play it. It's just music to my ears.
I sent that to you last week, and I didn't get any comments. And you're like, I was like, hopefully he'll tell me if he doesn't like this, and I will use something different.
It's so weird that I didn't respond because it's been living rent free in my brain like all week. Anyway, so in this week's Semi-Pertinent News, I found a news story. Usually when we do Semi-Pertinent News, I will search Rick and Morty news on Google. This is more inside baseball for you, the umpiring of this episode. And then I'll set the timeline to like 1 week. That way I'm only getting the freshest information. Bleedingcool.com was running a story. Oh, they're so cool. They're bleeding cool. But
what does bleeding cool look like? Is that like bleeding blue, like the Dodgers?
I don't know. It's an interesting website. Link in the description potentially, but make sure you have like your firewalls in place and things like that when you visit. If you use ad blocker, you may not see anything on the website whatsoever. Anyway, this story was an interview with Dan Harmon, co-creator of Rick and Morty, and they were talking about pop culture references in Rick and Morty. Pop culture references have been sort of core to Rick and Morty since the very beginnings. Like, we think back to episodes, referencing, Nightmare on Elm Street and Scary Terry, right? And, it's just so many pop culture references. But there is a rule that they have that they kind of call the South Park rule. And that is basically they will not cover pop culture topics that are too current. They don't want to race South Park to get a joke out there about some sort of current topic. And this makes a lot of sense for fans that are not sort of aware of how this animation process works. South Park has a very tight schedule. They have it down to a science where they can come up with ideas for an episode and like a week later have an episode of South Park out. And their timeline is very, very short. So that way, if something is happening in the news today, a week later, it could be referenced on a South Park episode. That is not the case for Rick and Morty. It takes years sometimes to get certain episodes fully through the production process. So they're going to reference, pop culture. They may reference a movie, but it may be a movie from like a year ago or like 5 or 10 years ago, because they know that they're not going to beat other shows like South Park to those current pop culture references.
Right. Yeah. And it makes sense, right? The reference you used, Nightmare on Elm Street, it came out in 1984. That's how
it's real quick. It was like they almost missed it. It was so.
That's how far behind they are when it comes to references, right? So it makes sense that they want to slow things down and they just want to make things timely. That's why I'm hoping they'll have a Charlie Chaplin gag. in season
those
10.
Buster Keaton jokes are around the corner. I know it.
Yeah.
But it makes sense, right? Like the season premiere of this season was like a Matrix reference. That's over 20 years old. Like, the Matrix has been around a really long time. But like almost everybody's familiar with it. People know what the Matrix is, even if you're not some huge fan of science fiction, you've probably heard of it or heard references to it. So I think there is a good balance there where they can grab really like these cornerstones of pop culture and kind of incorporate those into an episode, still making those references that people understand without having to be like fresh, brand new.
And I'm shaking my finger at you. And I shoot with this hand. Wait, that's a different joke. For our video viewers, you mentioned cornerstone, right? I think that's the key. Is I look back at Scary Movie, like some of those like spoof movies.
Right.
Everything is so that year, the year before, and though now if you watch those movies again, which I don't recommend, in the first place,
recommended. Yeah.
Those references are so dated. They're completely outdated because like who's Carmen Electra? I don't know. Who's Dennis Rodman? I don't know. Why were they together? Fuck if we know, right? So like going back to these cornerstones of pop culture, using those as references makes it much more impactful than being like, hey, so we're doing a tariffs joke, right? It's not cool. So anyway, that makes sense. That little segment that is in lieu of the Dan Harmon social media post of the week. But guess what? This week we do have something called the Reddit post of the week. That's right. It's back. I actually prepared this time for the Reddit post of the week.
So proud of you.
And this one is from user Bird Culture Dick Move. They're a top 1% poster in the subreddit. Good on them. And it says the title is "To Anybody Not Enjoying the Season 8 premiere." And it's Rick and says, "Your boos mean nothing. I've seen what makes you cheer." 7.6 thousand upvotes. That's right. I was surprised that some people didn't like the premiere episode. I saw a lot of positive feedback from it during the live discussion post and during the post discussion post. But I think, as far as I know, for me, there's that whole aspect of, well, the hype is, somebody set the hype up too high and that wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. So, and then some people just want to be different, dare to be different.
Yeah,
I'm like
sure.
that, so if like you said, you really like this episode, I'd be like, no, you're wrong.
You usually do that actually. Anytime anything I enjoy, you're like, nah, it's probably not for me.
That's not right. I don't say that. Whatever you say, I agree with generally. All right. Anyways, shout out to Bird Culture Dick Move for the Reddit post of the week.
All right. All right. So that's it for semi-pertinent news. If you have a semi-pertinent news story that you want us to cover in a future episode, send it to us on any of the social media links or comment it down below in the YouTube video. When we come back, we will be covering the second episode of Season 8, so stick around, and we will be right back. All right, welcome back, everybody. Thank you for sticking around. It is now time for everyone's favorite part of the show. It's time for the main thing.
Towel time. I see a towel on my desk, and it's another Dodgers reference. That's right. It's the main thing. I'm running out of ideas. I just have to look around my room to see what's going on.
Yeah. I also have a small towel within arm's reach, which is really strange.
Oh, is it a thunder towel?
No, that's in my office at work. This is the marathon finisher towel.
Ooh, all right. Shout out to the Oklahoma City Thunder, NBA champions.
Depending on when you're listening to this, it may take 4 more games before that's reality.
All right. Well, let's get into this. So this is season 8, episode 2, Valkyrick. It aired the 1st of June of 2025. Written by Scott Martyr, friend of the show. We say anybody who's ever been interviewed by us
personal friend of the show. Scott
is is now a friend of the show. Directed by Jacob Hare, also a friend of the show. We didn't interview him, but we met him in person at Comic-Con, so also a friend of the show. Guest stars Stephen Root, who we know from Office Space. He was also in not Bernie, the one with the SNL guy on HBO.
That narrows it down.
The guy who's like the hottest nightclubs in town, Goat Barn. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, He's one doesn't like Jabba the Hutt impressions. Doesn't matter. Stephen Root, friend of the show, only because
Barry. Are you talking about Barry?
Barry, not Bernie. Barry. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
He's in that show Barry.
Yeah, I really liked him on News Radio. 95 to 99. That sitcom
with one of the kids in the hall. All right, so Bernopsis, Travis. Here we go. Space Beth calls her dad for a ride, bruh.
There it is. Our synopsis: Rick and Beth tag team up for a father-daughter adventure.
Okay, up for a dad and daughter adventure. I typed it in
as he types it as I improvise it right into the show notes.
Yeah.
This was an interesting episode. Very, very different, I felt like, from the season premiere in terms of just kind of like the pacing and the flow of the episode. Very, very linear in terms of the storytelling. It was very much, one kind of cohesive story. It didn't bounce back and forth between, like two storylines, like a plot, B plot sort of thing. And yeah, the title reference, Valkyrick. I'm assuming this is tied to Valkyrie, the 2008 Tom Cruise movie about like an assassination plot to kill Hitler. Assassinations. There's the link.
There it is. Yeah, which is also it's based on a true story. It's about Stauffenberg, I think, who got together with other high-ranking German officials during World War II to try to murder Hitler. The Hitler. That's right. Not
the one.
Yeah, but it was a movie with Tom Cruise as a German. So anyway.
Yeah, he's a good actor. So
but that hits the
believable.
theme. That hits the theme of the episode, right? Is assassination.
Yeah, I wrote assassinating. I want everybody to know that. That's the theme, is going out and assassinating.
Right.
Yeah.
Very number one theme. Travis has been wanting to talk about this one for assassinating there. Yeah, I mean, so Travis, let's skip all the jokes. What are your initial thoughts about this episode?
I gotta be honest, watching it Sunday night, it was not immediately like my favorite Rick and Morty episode. It was really interesting. I think it had to do with the pacing that I referenced earlier. It felt like, and we've talked about this plenty of times before, it's 22 minutes for an episode, right? You have a lot of storytelling to do in 22 minutes. And I thought it was a bit of a challenge to take a lot of characters that we've never really met before. Obviously, we know Rick, we know Space Beth, but this entire like group that she was with, what were they called?
Not defilers, but
yeah, those guys. Like
yeah.
we didn't. There were some references. Yeah,
the Defiers.
There were some references to like characters in there that we'd seen before. There was like a female squanchy type character and but like pretty much we didn't know any of them. So there was no attachment to them initially when the show opens. Then we go back to Gromflamites, which is another known kind of baddie, but we're introduced to like a bug queen, and then she's immediately like dead. And then there's this weird evil doctor that we're just seeing for the first time. And so like, and then there's Cisco. Where is Cisco at? Why don't we know what's going on with him? Like, so I just felt like there was a lot going on, and like it just, first take, like there were some good gags, good bits, but I was just like, this kind of, the pacing felt weird for me. And it wasn't until a rewatch where I really started to kind of dissect the episode and think about some of the themes and some of the things that I wasn't really paying attention to in the first viewing of the episode.
Yeah.
Dealing with the fact that this is an episode where Rick kind of opens himself up to Space Beth and makes himself available to go on an adventure with her. He's not just dismissing her. He's not blowing her off when she calls him, but he's kind of making an effort. Like she's ready to just get dropped off in space, and he's like, well, let me take you to the, alien, what did he call, alien supremacist that I know, and we'll get some info and stuff. So like,
I got to make sure it's the right supremacist.
yeah. So I think that was really interesting. The
By the way, when he walks in, they're like, "Oh no, mammals!" He's like, "Yeah, that's the right one."
Yeah. So I thought that was really interesting, and then overall, using this episode as potentially like a bridge or some sort of, story, change where now the Gronflamites are not necessarily the big bad or even an enemy of Rick anymore. Now that they have worked together in this episode, I don't know what do you think?
Yeah, now that they're the Slimer of
unlikely allies.
I must be alone. I think I'm alone. Because I loved it from the start. I think a lot of times I know I'm not alone. But I think a lot of times we watch these episodes, right? And we've talked about this before. We watch it, we're kind of like watching it for analysis at the start, and then after the second time we kind of watch it for enjoyment, and then if we have time we watch it again, and then like bridging the two. Like there's phases to watching it. Last night I have the Adult Swim app. I don't have cable. I have the Adult Swim app tied to a cable subscriber. Legal. It's all legal. just so we're clear. But my phone was messing up, right? The Family Guy episode 2 episodes before that, it was like it was playing, and it would go to commercial, and it would say commercial break playing, and then it stopped working halfway into the commercial break playing. And so I was like, oh shit, I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch this episode with my family the way I want to watch it. So I was nervous the entire time. So I think that influenced somewhat when it worked the entire time. And I was like, oh, thank God. Thank God I get to watch this episode, and I get to enjoy it with my wife and kid. So from start to finish, I really enjoyed it. We saw the cold open. That's part of the Reddit. Thanks to Adult Swim, they're giving us that cold open early. So I was like, I want to see where this is going, and I enjoyed the direction it took. Right, it was very heavy on with my 13-year-old boy turning 13 and getting more embarrassed about everything I do. All of those like little father child moments. But in the these are both grown adults now. I mean, even like looking back at the first episode, right? We have the Beth and Summer. Like that's a father or a parent child relationship too.
Yeah.
Nice little themes. And then later, maybe in the season later, there's another like Morty Jr. stuff thing going on. Maybe, like, I don't know.
Are you already making bold predictions for season 9? It's like 2 episodes into season 8.
Yeah, I shouldn't. It's this 90 shilling amber ale
coming to you live. Yeah, no, and it's funny you talk about the process for watching it sort of analytically versus enjoyment. Like I try to make a point of not having notes out. First viewing, watch it as a fan, and then go back and dissect it. And And I don't know if it was just, because I was in this space. I watched it at my desk on the computer here instead of, on the TV or something. But yeah, it just felt like the pacing felt weird. I liked it more the second time. I will say that.
Yeah. Um, all right. So, you talk about the Gronfalmites, right? Common villain. Common villain in Rick and Morty. I don't know if anybody knows this, but the Gronfalmites were even in the pilot episode.
That's right.
And I liked that aspect of it. There's a couple jokes in there about like, oh, I feel like we should be leveling up with the Gronfalmites turning into like super Gronfalmites, almost like super scrolls. I really like that aspect of it because it low key introduces a different threat, even though it's the threat's taken care of by the end of the episode. There's still that there is room to take that part of the story and then go somewhere with it, right? That fungus exists. Sure, they got a cure for the Gronfalmites, but how does it affect bird people? And so, anyways, I like the idea of leveling up the Gronfalmites to make them some kind of threat and not just like cannon fodder for Rick.
Yeah. No, I do appreciate that aspect of it. It felt a little bit like a Last of Us, tie-in with the spores and the mutation of that way and getting infected, right? Like that feels like talking about that South Park rule again. Like Last of Us has been around a little while now.
Mm-hmm.
It whether or not that was a direct reference, like an intended reference, I don't know, but that's what I picked up on because of watching season 2 of The Last of Us so recently. And
well, funny you mentioned that, Travis. It's actually a reference to Night of the Living Dead by George Romero, which came out in the 60s. That's how far behind all of the references are in Rick and Morty.
That's how dated every reference is on Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
So what do you think about this idea that the Gronfalmites may not be a foe anymore? Do you think this is the end of seeing them as bad guys? Is it the end of seeing them in general, or do we see them in a new light moving forward in future episodes?
I think we see them in a new light going into new episodes. Not friends,
Sure.
unlikely allies, right? I think there is more room to be like, okay, now that there are some people that appreciate what Rick has done for them, what the fires have done for the Gronfalmites. I think there could be different sections of people that or Gronfalmites that interact, like Cisco, for example. And so I'm cool with them not all being antagonists all the time. Because that can go into different aspects of storytelling. If you always make them antagonists, well then it turns into like a Doctor Who or a Star Trek with a Borg. There's always bad guys.
Yeah. What was the name of the discreet assassin from like season 1 or 2?
Crumbopulous Michael.
Crumbopulous Michael. That's right. My favorite Gronfalmite.
Mm-hmm. Next to Cisco, and
maybe Cisco.
And Concroculus Ron or whatever, Roncoculus Michael. Is that, like I think like the Doctor that I kept seeing it on the subtitles, and I don't remember if it was referencing the general that was played by Stephen Root or like the fascist doctor that is doing the fungus on everything.
Yeah.
But like it very briefly says like Roncoculus or Croncoculus or something like that. And like, damn it, who is that?
Yeah.
Who is that character?
Ridiculous names. Any other thoughts on like the themes or overall sort of the story from this episode?
Yeah, I mean, going back to the Rick and Beth thing, how did you feel that arc played out? Right, the going in, she doesn't want him to save her, but then he does, and then he gets her fired. he's doing like the typical parent thing, like
Mhm.
when like like I think of Dexter, and I think of going to school and his teacher being a jerk, and I'm like, I really need to go in there and tell that teacher what's up. But I also know it'll embarrass the shit out of him.
Yeah, and it might get him fired from school.
It,
So
yeah,
that
which is
that
why
could
he's
be a
homeschooled
problem.
now.
Yeah,
Um,
that'll
yeah,
happen. That'll
yeah.
happen.
But Chelsea's gonna fire him too.
Okay. Yeah, no, I do think there's an interesting arc there between the cold open where she's like screaming off camera, not wanting to even press the call button on the phone, to the point where they're in this big fight at the end, and she's like thanking Rick for picking up the phone, and he's like, thank you for calling, right? Like, a lot of this episode is about breaking down those walls, breaking down those personal barriers, and opening yourself up to, yeah, it's imperfect. Like, relationships are imperfect, especially, family relationships. Like, we don't always pick our family, right? But they found things that they could connect on, things they could agree about, and in the end, they were better off working together than if they had kind of gone at the situation by themselves. So, yeah, I think in a weird way, kind of hidden below the surface of everything else that's going on, is a really interesting story about, that parent-child relationship, especially with an adult child, right? And sort of two adults that are still, parent-child. Like, there's a weird kind of relationship there that exists.
Yeah, yeah. I it's like I want example. I keep joking about the 90 shilling and going to New Mexico. So I went to New Mexico on a trip with my dad. Like, he and I road tripped from California out to New Mexico to the family ranch, which is not really much of a ranch at all, but there's no power or water. It's fine. But that's like 18 hours of driving together on the road, and then 18 hours driving back. And it's like the last two episodes, maybe they I relate to them because it's all about, like, it's not necessarily being friends with your parent. It's like these little moments of spending time together that really stick out. And then at the end of the trip with my dad, I was just like, I kind of feel bad because he was talking to me on the drive, and I would talk here and there and a little bit of everywhere, and then like not too much. And I felt bad because I wasn't talking more. But
Yeah.
also, when I'm a passenger, I just instantly fall asleep. Um, and then when we got back to the house, he dropped me off, and I was like, "Hey, Dad, thanks for taking me with you." He's like, "No, thank you for coming with me." And that's what it boiled down to, was like, even though we spent time together, that
Yeah.
whatever other adventures happened, we spent time together. And
Yeah.
so yeah, the last two episodes ring true to me.
This is just how family togetherness happens when you're Rick and Space Beth. Like, this is
Yeah.
this is what
Yeah.
that looks like. So
We also did, me
Yeah.
and my dad also did assassinate the governor of New Mexico. Just to be
right.
clear. Just to be clear.
let me enter into evidence. Exhibit A podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't tell anybody, though, fair listener.
Yeah, our little secret. Our little secret.
right.
All right. You want to get into some favorite bits?
Let's do it. Let's do it, man. Yeah. So the first favorite bit, of course, is the sheer bureaucracy of planning an assassination. If you're gonna, I think of like, what was the one movie with like the gun kata, like they twist the bullets,
Oh.
shot taken or something like that. Like, any movie where there's a group of assassins that is part of like a vast organization. Hitman, we watched Hitman the other day. John Wick. The bureaucracy of that would be like, well, you can kill this person, but let's have a meeting about it first.
Yeah. Let's. Did you check your assassination email? Nobody has time for three-factor authentication.
Oh my gosh. That the whole meeting stuff, right? That it's like it's sci-fi rigmarole, but fucking hell, like it. I'm like, oh god.
So many of us live it on a daily basis. Yeah.
Don't just send me a meeting invite with no subject title and no context. You gotta give me what you want me to meet with you for.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I don't know if this next one is like a California thing or if this is accurate in other parts of the United States, but the health code B on the side of the alien spaceship, I saw it before they talked about it. It was in the window and I was like, that's weird. That's like a health code thing. And then they're talking about rats being in the walls, and they're like, maybe that's why we always get a B from the health inspector. That cracked me up. But now I'm like, I don't think those exist in Oklahoma. Is that just a California thing?
I don't know. I'm trying to look at it. Let's see. It might, because you don't see it in Oklahoma, so
Yeah.
I don't know if it's mostly
that's our call to
California
action, folks. Let us know how your state's health inspector labels restaurants in your part of the world.
thing. Yeah, and as I'm Googling it, it mostly says all the California links. So
yeah, there you go.
like we grade everything in California. We're so great. Yeah, let's see. The Space Beth's contacts on her phone.
Yeah. In Rick's phone, when he picks up the call from Beth, it just says Beth, and then in parentheses it says Space One. So that's how he has Space Beth distinguished in his cell phone, so he knows who's calling.
Well, in Beth's phone, it says Beth 2 in her contacts.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right. That's actually pretty funny.
The quicksand diarrhea gun bit, like that killed me. That felt like in the prop department on that. It felt like Wile E. Coyote kind of sign with the quicksand.
Yeah,
like it felt very Looney Tunes on there. Like, like, and then the explanation of, wait, why? What about if you're looking at it from the other side? Oh no, it says regular sand on that side.
He's got all his bases covered with it. It's perfect.
What I liked about that, just from like a production aspect, is as I watched that, I was like, yeah, like that's kind of like a production joke of, you put sand on there, it kind of looks like poop. So we have to put a sign on there that says it's not poop. Now let's actually do the poop one, which actually looks a lot.
We kind of already talked about the alien supremacist. He was watching a show when they bust into his apartment. Did you catch what show it was?
I didn't. I'm looking at the show notes. I'm like, oh shoot, I didn't look close enough at it.
I don't remember what that show is called.
You don't know me.
Yeah, it's the show that Golden Fold is watching in the I'm blanking.
The Inception episode.
Yeah, Inception. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which and then she's on the plane. You don't know me. Slaps him. But yeah, that was the show that was on the TV in the alien supremacist apartment.
Well, let's unpack that really quickly. An alien supremacist who doesn't like mammals is watching a mammal show.
He's probably hate watching it.
Yes. Or he hates himself, but he really, really likes mammals.
Maybe.
Unpack
we don't know.
it.
Well, yeah. We'll talk about it later in a bonus episode.
Yeah. The unlikely allies explanation. The first time I watched the episode, I didn't fully catch it. I think I don't know what I was distracted by something, but I just caught the Slimer bit at the end. The second time around, I was like, okay, now actually pay attention to what they're talking about. Like, okay, yeah, this is solid stuff.
Do you guys have like ghost fighters that are so popular it would spawn sequels and a cartoon?
Slimer.
It's too cool to be a Slimer, but he has asthma. Jeez. The line when the Gronflemite general, he's like, "Oh, stepping out of the shadows." He's like, "No, my pen just rolled into the corner." Like, such a dumb like explanation of why he was in the other side of the room. But it was good. And then the callback to unlikely allies. He's like, maybe a tenuous alliance? Unlikely allies. Yay. Yeah.
But as they went into the testing of the antidote montage, saying they're long on bugs, short on ethics. I love that bit, just being like, yeah, send. And they only got up to 64, 65.
Yeah.
At the end of it, so they only went through 64 of them.
Yeah. That's
pretty
fine.
good.
During that montage, there's a scene where like math equations are flying all around Rick's head,
Like a beautiful mind.
Yeah, and then I love how they subvert that by making it like a light projector that like gets in Rick's eyes, and he's like, turn that off. Like, I thought that was really good. And then immediately they get the answer right afterwards.
Yes, my absolute favorite bit of the entire episode. First time cracked me up. Second time cracked me up. I'm laughing thinking about it still. When I took my kid to Chuck E. Cheese, and he went into like, they're like, oh, the birthday boy, and they stick him in a little tube when there's just like a bunch of tickets floating up and flying around. You got to catch as many as you can. And it's like the cash air machine. I love that. And he just Rick is in there. He's like, turn on the cash. I got this. Opens up his bionics, and then just like cash starts coming out of his shoulders. I just thought that was so fucking funny.
Yeah, especially because Beth is like vomiting and dying like just across the room. He's like, oh wait, maybe I should do this later. Yeah.
That to me, that's. And a couple of other bits in this episode, that is, to me, that is like peak Rick and Morty of like the type of gag that you put in there, right? All this stuff is going on, all of this adventure stuff is going on, plots happening here, there, and everywhere, and there is just a visual audio gag that doesn't really fit. It doesn't need to be there, but it's zany, it's wild, it's weird, it's funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
That moment was like, okay, Rick and Morty is, to me, is it's there. Like they're capturing the essence of it. So
yeah, no, I would agree with you on that style of humor being very, indicative of Rick and Morty, of the past as well.
Yeah.
The whole bring your daughter to work day thing, with Bird Daughter, like random appearance of Bird Person and having Bird Daughter there with her like razor wings as she's taking out, super Gronflemites and all this stuff. She's a bit of a spitfire, isn't she?
Oh yeah. She was having fun though.
That's right. She gets that from her mom, I think.
Yeah. It's you're coming to my work. You've been waiting 6 hours to say that.
I like the random conversation between Bird Person and Rick, where Bird Person's like, "I think we need to remove Gene from the text thread." They have a group chat.
Don't feed the beast, man. Don't feed the beast.
Just can't respond.
It's like my kid. He gets in one text thread and then they're like just talking, and so he mutes it. But then they start a new text thread, and then they still talk that, and so he mutes that one, and they just keep adding text threads. Then you start like a completely different text thread with the person you do want to talk to. I'm like, this is the one that I'm going to respond to.
Yeah, there were some random moments in that fight where the bug that kept wanting to die finally does, and he's like, my son's gonna go to Bug State, and then he dies, and Rick's like, we should all agree to check in on that guy's kid.
Bug pact.
Bug pact. Like, just that stuff is ridiculous, but fantastic.
And the post credit Cisco callback, which we'll talk about in our best and worst parts. But yeah, the whole Cisco stuff. So great. So I'm glad they end with what happened to Cisco.
Yeah. And we talked about this, I think, while the episode aired initially, as one of the best parts of the episode is this Cisco voiceover where they're talking about the plan to kind of apprehend this robot queen, and the voiceover is like, no, we're gonna meet up with Cisco. Like, he's super reliable. There's only two people I trust: Bird Person and Cisco.
Wait, Bird Person. Cisco's on the same level as Bird Person?
This person I've never heard of. So you have all of that, including like a DoorDash order and things happening. Yeah. While we see what actually is taking place, which is Cisco never shows up. They have to improvise. They have to fly a spaceship into like a star fleet of.
What if we have to run and gun?
We're not gonna have to. Like, he's gonna be there. Like, he's reliable. If he says he's gonna be there, he's gonna be there. Yeah, no, I thought that was great, and I feel like that scene in particular gets better and better on rewatches, because you can isolate your focus on the conversation or the action that's happening and kind of appreciate them both separately.
Yeah, we Chelsea and I both, we love that part, right? And because it's so hard to focus on what Rick and Beth are saying as far as the planning goes, and also keeping an eye on what is actually happening on screen. Right. It's such a subversion, a successful subversion of that kind of like Ocean's 11, like, oh wait, this is what we're gonna do. This is what we're gonna do. Blah blah blah. And then like they're also showing them successfully doing that while the voiceover is happening. Yeah. I just watched Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning on Saturday, so it's very fresh in my mind, that type of voiceover where it's like, all right, so what we first have to do is this, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this, and everything happens as it's happening. So it was so good that like, oh shit, no, there's a disconnect. Oh no, there's a disconnect happening, and it just keeps getting wider and wider and wider. Yeah. So I dug that too. Yeah.
Yeah. Easily one of the best parts of the episode. Another thing that I don't know if I appreciated it as much the first time, but the moment where Rick is testing the antidote for the super serum on himself before he uses it on Beth. One, it's a funny moment, right? Like, he's like, I like boobs. I like boob milk. Oh no, I crave juice. Jelly. Jelly. Oh, I like boobs again, right? Like that's
I want milk. I like boobs.
And then the cash, right? But like, apart from that, there's also a sweetness to it, right? Where Rick is putting himself, like putting Beth ahead of himself. He is, he could just test it. If it had been Morty in that tank, he probably would have just tested it on Morty and seen what happens, right? But like, the fact that it's Beth, he is willing to turn himself into a bug and test it on himself to make sure it works before he puts Beth at risk. And I think that's one of those rare moments in the show where we see Rick, having a heart, like caring for his daughter. And I think that's just a unique and cool part of the episode.
Yeah, we look back at Fruipyland, the Fruipyland episode, and we're like, the thought is, who would create this world for this little girl, right?
Yeah.
What I think this episode highlights is from the start to finish, it highlights how Rick loves his daughter, wants to do whatever he can for his daughter, and is protective of her. Right.
Yeah.
I talk about like the mama bear going into school and being like, "Don't treat my son like that," like getting him fired, sure, but or getting her fired, sure, but like he's still going in there and be like, no, you are lucky to have her, right? And then, but still going further and further, and then showing that no matter what, he cares about his daughter. Uh, Side example, when my son got a little bundle of red vines for this award he got, and then one of his friends came over and like took one of the red vines, like, "Give me one of those, Dexter." My dad and I were like, "F that guy. He didn't ask for that. He just took one from you." We got so defensive about it, and I like to this day still defensive about it. That's like the kind of thing that we see from Rick in this moment of like, I'm gonna protect my kid.
Yeah.
Nobody messes with my kid.
Nobody messes with my Beth. I have a worse part. I think it's intentionally like the worst, but that evil doctor, his whole living rent free in your brain thing, like, was just weird. Like his like mixing up of sayings and stuff. He was just like, he was terrible, but I think in that way he was effective, right? Like he was supposed to be terrible, and I think they did a good job of making him sort of insufferable.
Yeah, in a way, Travis, I think he's living rent free in your head.
Nobody can use that term after I'm dead. It's,
But
I don't know.
it just means you're thinking about something.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on the episode or things that stuck out to you?
Oh shoot, there was one more thing, and I can't quite recall what it is, and it's gonna bother me until I remember it, and then no one will be around to hear it.
Yeah.
It might have been about the antidote. It might have been about the evil. Oh, I did like with the evil doctor. I was like, "Oh, I'm evil," and then like the ha ha ha, ha, and then like getting bumped into the back of the ceiling, and like, "Oh no, oh, put me back up there," and then gets impaled.
Yeah. Yeah. Just completely like a terrible evil doctor. Yeah. Just yeah. I don't know. He's
That's not the part I cared about, but that reminded me. I laughed at that. I laughed at that a lot.
good. I'm glad. All right. Well, those are our thoughts about this episode, but we'd love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to drop us a line at any of our social media links or leave a comment in this video. And we will talk about it in an upcoming episode. It is now time for listener suggestions and short outs. Brandon, any short outs that you wanna cover?
Yeah. Over on YouTube, right? There's a couple short outs on YouTube. At Fred T1 or T 1973. They might have been born in 1992. I'm not sure, but
That'd be my guess. Yeah.
But talking about watch strategies, right? We kind of covered that earlier, but they write, "I've gone back to my watch it twice strategy. I watch it the morning after it's broadcast. I'm a sleepy guy, so I can't stay up and watch it live. And then I listen to Brandon and Travis, and then I'll watch the episode again later on to see what their thoughts were and see how I compare." So very, very similar to what we do is we watch it once and then we fall asleep, and then we talk to each other and see how our thoughts compare to each other.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much how it goes. Yeah, there's like this weird system when the show is on where it's like, all right, watch it. Typically, I try to watch it for entertainment, and then the next day it's like, watch it to see what I forgot while I was sleeping, and then watch it once with like a Word doc open and just hammer out notes as I'm watching it. So, yeah. Other YouTube comments, and they tell you never to read the comments, but this one is important.
I'm gonna filter through the comments, Travis. We're not gonna give everyone a shout out because I don't want to give everyone a shout out. But we're gonna do the sandwich method of reading things. where we're gonna read a good one, then a not great one, and then a good one again. So this one is shout out to @Lindsay_Lockwood from 2 days ago. The only thing more cringy than this episode is a Baldy with Funko Pops.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
So I had a hard time with that comment because I was like, is she talking about the episode of Rick and Morty or the episode of this podcast? I don't know. I don't know.
That it probably the
question.
podcast, I would think. I don't know. Thanks for watching.
But you are the Baldy with Funko Pops, so how could the only thing more cringy than this episode? Because it is the same thing, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't leave like a lot of YouTube comments, so
Yeah.
I don't know what the she also responded to BDR Mongoose's post saying that the episode sucked ass and it's like a completely different show now. Cancellation incoming.
Yeah. So
Is that a cancellation of the show or a cancellation of her cable subscription?
Or a cancellation of our podcast? Shit.
Oh.
Damn
We
it.
should probably talk to the people that cancel podcasts.
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
Talk to our family. They'll let you know if we need to stop doing this. And then as we promised, the sandwich @UndisputedChamp -J9S. Great premiere, great episode. The part that got the biggest laugh out of me was at the end when Morty and Summer thought they were still in the Matrix. I saw some comments on the Reddit, and I'm going to ask this question of you, Travis. They've been in Roy, they've been in Roy 2. They've done these things where they've been in places for a long time, and it hadn't affected them the way it had affected them in the Matrix. So what is the difference, do you think?
I think like Roy was a life well lived, right? Like I think the Matrix was constructed in such a way as to like intentionally punish them. And when you actually see in the episode how Morty does the whole live die repeat thing and he's like got PTSD and all this stuff, like the effects of the Matrix were more damaging, I guess. And we don't know if Rick did a mind blowers on them after they went to blips and shits. Like,
right? Yeah,
that could have been.
We don't know. We don't know. Yeah, that's kind of what my thought was. Yeah, those episodes that we saw, all that stuff happened, but we don't necessarily know that Rick wasn't like, okay, you did that, cool. Like we didn't get mind blown, so he didn't take our memories. We see
as far as
right?
you know.
Man, there's the crux. There's the crux of it all. Okay, now before we go, there's a couple other things. Shout out to all our friends of the show, and also we got a tag. We got a tag on Instagram, Travis.
Oh, that's right.
I'm not sure if you saw. I'm not sure if you saw this. Did you see it?
Yeah, I sent it to you. I'm the one that told you about it.
What was it that you told me about?
Are you talking about our good friend on Instagram, the voice of Rick on the hit show Rick and Morty?
Wait, is that what I'm talking about?
Do you have it pulled up already? Because I'm pulling.
No, I don't. That's what I was trying to pull up, but my phone sucks. It's an older iPhone.
So here's the important thing that needs to be discussed is because I took a screenshot of it. Oh gosh, where is it? Oh, I have it.
Oh man, come on. I set you up, and then
why is it not in my camera roll? Oh well. Ian Cardone.
Because it's in Facebook Messenger. Facebook Messenger sucks. It doesn't save pictures. Yeah.
But I definitely thought I saved that. Oh, it isn't my camera roll. It just gets cropped. Okay, so Instagram stories, they last for 24 hours. Ian Cardone, the voice of Rick on the hit show Rick and Morty, was very kind and generous in sharing on his Instagram story the last episode of this podcast. He said, "Thanks for the kind words and congrats on 200 episodes." He included a GIF of Rick dancing. And then he said, "Watch season 8, episode 1 on at Adult Swim, then check out this recap." There it is. That's what it looks
Boom.
like.
It exists. It exists. Oh,
Here's the thing, Ian. We love you. Come on the podcast. Let's talk. You tagged Adult Swim. You didn't tag us in the post, which means we didn't know that. Like, it didn't alert us that he shared it because he didn't tag us. So if I hadn't been clicking through his stories, which now you know we do.
Now you know. Now you know. Now you know. Through your stories.
we and like this was posted 22 hours previously. Like when I took the screenshot, it said it had been up for 22 hours. I was like 2 hours away from completely missing this post. But it also meant because he didn't tag us, we couldn't reshare that story onto our stories because Instagram is weird about that. But all of that to say, thank you, Ian. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for helping to promote the podcast. And congrats on the start of an excellent season.
That's
and,
right.
you know, all the best in future episodes. Come on the podcast.
Yeah. Shout out to all of the friends of the podcast who I don't want to call you out because I don't want to get you in trouble by your bosses. But your names might start with R, C. I mean, those are two separate first names. F. Look, J.
Yeah. Thanks for continuing to talk to us in social messaging platforms. Yeah.
And I won't tell them that you said secretly we're the best and now we should get paid for our podcast. Okay, so
who said that? We'll talk about it later.
Yeah. Nobody said it. That's a joke. I want to say I'm based off these last two episodes. I said to you in the message when we watched this one last night. I put it in the Reddit as well. You know, for me, it's 2 out of 2 for really good, solid episodes so far this season. Everything that I'm hearing from other people who work on the show is like, you know, season 8 is great. Season 9 is also great because that's how far they are into the thing. So I'm really, really interested in seeing what happens next and hoping it maintains its quality and my laugh per minute ratio.
Yeah. We have a couple more solid episodes coming up, and we're excited to cover those as well. So call to action from our unlikely allies. Please let us know what you thought of this episode. Let us know what you're looking forward to with the rest of the season. And just, let us know what your thoughts are in general. And, we will be back next week to record another episode and review some more Rick and Morty. So until then, I'm Travis.
And I am Brandon, and thank you so much, so much for listening.
What are my Funko Pops?